In this video, I'm going to talk about the equation of a circle, the two different forms we can see it in, and how we obtain information about that circle from the equation. So this first one you see here, this is what we call standard form. So this is what we want it to be in because it's really easy to pull out all the information. So if you're in standard form, like we are here, then a kind of like standard form of a parabola, if you've watched that video, since there's two minuses built in here, when we pull these coordinates out, we change both of their signs, and this gives us the center of the circle. Then you can see here, as you might expect, r stands for radius, so that number, if you take its square root, r will give you the radius. So that number that sits there at the end is always the radius squared. Now this is what we call general form here at the bottom. There's not really anything we can pull out of it just by looking at it, so what I'll be showing you in a few minutes is how if we're given something in general form, we can convert it into standard form and then come up with the appropriate pieces. Okay, so here's an example of a circle, given in standard form, and you're asked to find the center and the radius. Okay, so like we just talked about, you're going to change your signs, so that becomes a positive 2. Since y actually doesn't have anybody with it, that just means that the y coordinate is 0, and so that's our center. This number at the end, remember, is r squared, so I square root it to get my radius, in this case of 8. And that's it. Really basic if you're given the circle in standard form. In this example, as I mentioned, we're only in general form right now, so I cannot find my center and radius until I put it into standard form. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our x's next to each other. So I'm just going to rearrange this so that the 4x comes right after x squared, and then I'm going to put the 8y right after y squared. So I just, again, grouping my terms by their variable. I'm actually at the same time going to move my 5 over to the other side. So I only want to have my terms that have variables in them on the left. Okay, so now I'm actually going to be completing the square on 2 variables at one time. So technically, it's almost as if there are 2 b's in this equation. So x's b is 4, so I'll be doing 4 divided by 2 squared. And y's b is 8, so I'll be doing 8 divided by 2 squared. Okay, so now those numbers I'm adding to both sides simultaneously. So let me show you what this will look like. X squared minus 4x, then I'm going to put the number I came up with x, so that would be 4. Now I keep going, y squared plus 8y, and now the number I came up with y, so 8 divided by 2 squared gives me 16. So I just added in a new plus 4 and a new plus 16, which means I have to also do that on the right-hand side. Okay, so now, like when we complete the square, this is going to turn into a squared binomial with x, and this one will turn into a squared binomial with y. So you'll start seeing standard form come into place. This will be minus 2, since 4 divided by 2 is 2. I keep my plus sign, and this gives me y plus 4, since 8 divided by 2 is 4. And on the right-hand side, I'm just combining. So 5 plus 4 plus 16 gives me 25. Okay, so now I'm in standard form, and it should be really easy then to pull out my center and my radius. So remember, I'm changing both signs for my center, so this will be positive 2, negative 4, and I'm square rooting that number at the end to get my radius. And that's it.